What's going on, guys? This week I sit down with Lex, the Flying Dutchman Joon, a former FIA Top Fuel champion who has now taken his talents to the United States to put his never quit motto to the test and take on some of the best drivers in the world in the NHRA. We talk about what it means to never quit, what it is like when your engine explodes mid-run, and why would someone leave their home country where they have had incredible success to pursue their dream of being one of the best in the NHRA. Lex is not only a drag car driver, he's an entrepreneur, he puts his talents to the test, and he's a hard-working guy who knows what it really means to be an underdog and a top dog in his sport. Now let's get into the interview and hear from Lex what it takes to be a driver in the NHRA and a ton more great useful information for even people who aren't into the sport of drag racing. Let's go.
So thank you for taking this time, first of all. It's super nice of you to actually answer just a random kid's email and take the time out to call me. So I'm glad I got this opportunity to hear about your career. I actually find racing super interesting to hear how people got started and what goes into it. From reading various websites online, it sounds like it was a pretty hard-fought journey for you to get into the NHRA. So my first question would be, what got you into racing? Were you younger when you got into it, older?
Yeah, I don't know. Over here, they start really early. I was around 18, 19 years old. I got involved in racing because I was living in Europe back then. And where I come from, there was not a lot of racing going on, especially not drag racing where I'm involved in. So, and I always loved American cars and everything that came with it. So that's basically how I got involved in racing. I like horsepower. I'm being competitive. I always want to win. So I started racing my own cars. I built my own engines, transmissions, chassis, basically driveline components. I built it all myself because it was really hard to get back then in Europe. And because I'm competitive and always wanted to win, I was always looking for better opportunities to make my race cars fast. So that's basically how things started for me.
That's really cool. Was there any particular cars you like building? I know I was reading you had a shop in the Netherlands. Was there any of cars your most favorite to work on or anything that sticks out to you?
Yeah, well, like I said, American cars, and then I always liked GM motor products. Like I'm a big chassis car guy, so I basically I had a Camaro, a 68 Camaro, and so I was using a lot of their parts and upgraded it all the time. And that's how things started. And until I really was going into funny cars and dragsters, because that's a limited deal when it comes to motor engine manufacturers. It's basically all Mopar, Chrysler related. But I started with Chevys.
This is just for my own curiosity. What is, I guess, the biggest engine you've ever built, like horsepower-wise?
Well, that's what I'm working with right now. I'm in nitro racing, fuel funny cars, and those motors. These are V8 motors. They just push rods, and they produce over 10,000 horsepower.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of horsepower.
Yep, it is, and that's why it keeps, keeps calling me. It's something that's so out of the ordinary that you can make so much power from just a V8 engine that basically you run in your street car. It's mind blowing, and every time you put a motor together and you put it on the starting line, it's really amazing. It's working.
What was that feeling like the first time? Well, I guess the fastest pass you ever did was 310 miles per hour. What was that feeling when you went that fast?
Well, the feeling you have is that the world goes by pretty quick, and then you see the finish line, you think, and then you see the end of the track, you think, I'm never going to stop this in time. So there's a lot going on at the same time. The funny thing is that the quickest and fastest passes are more or less always the easy ones. The ones that don't go that well are the more troubled ones, like when you damage an engine or a thing goes on fire or the engine shuts off, because you work with a lot of G's in these type of cars. So you must imagine you can hit 6-7 G's going forward, but it's 6-7 times your own body weight. And then when the engine shuts down right away, you can, the G's go away, but you got G's the other way, especially when the parachutes come out, and you can hit 6, 7 G's negative. So going from 6 positive to 6 negatives, that's pretty hard on your body. I always say the reason you can do it is the fact that a lot of adrenaline is coming, is involved in this, so that will deal with the pain factor, so you don't really feel the pain. But I feel I'm an adrenaline junkie at the end of the day, because it makes no sense you want to do stuff like this, hurt yourself, and then want to do it again, right?
Yeah. So like you were saying about engine failures and stuff, what was one of the scariest moments you've had racing so far?
Well, I don't see it as scary. I'm not afraid. I'm not worried. It's the better thing I ever had was back in Europe when I was racing a funny car, and a full funny car, and the thing catched fire, and I could not stop it because it kept going. I could not shut the motor off, and the parachutes got fired. I could not stop the car, and there was a moment that the whole cabin I was sitting in was full with smoke. I couldn't see where I was going. The oxygen system stopped working, so I could not breathe anymore. But the car was still going. So that was a moment that I thought, okay, I don't know how this is going to end. You don't really have time to be scared, but more that you try to make a plan to get out of it, and every time you think you got it, then something happens again. So although this maybe didn't took longer than 45 seconds, it feels like an eternity. And again, I was not scared, but I didn't really could find a solution to stop the car and get out of it. But the end of the day, it worked out, and still running around.
I'm glad that worked out for you. Definitely, that would be scary to me, but you definitely have some courage to just be calm during that.
Well, I believe, scared, to be scared, that's the wrong way. If you are scared, you cannot fix it. And if something goes wrong, the only thing to do this is to stay on top of it and try to solve the problem. As long as you have time, as long as you don't hit anything or you don't burn yourself to the ground, then you got time to get out of it. And you cannot waste any moment, because this type of sport, if you're into high speed, every second is a long way. So you cannot start thinking about things. You really need to react, and that's what you do. So don't be afraid, and be certain about your own capabilities to get it done.
So speaking of your racing experience in Europe, is there any major differences between racing there and racing in the U.S.?
There are some differences. The tracks here are a lot better. You got a lot more grip here, so that means you can apply a lot more horsepower. So you can make quicker ETs, faster speeds. It's a different approach. The other thing is, here in the U.S. it's a professional sport. In Europe it's more a hobby that is done by people that have a lot of money. Here it's also done by people who have a lot of money, but it's also a professional sport. You can, if you are good at it, you can make a living out of it. So you have to race against a lot of professional teams that are used to do this for a long time, so that's something you need to adjust to. And this is the second year I'm here, and basically the third year we are racing, and I'm still adjusting to get it right and to get it done. And I know we will get it done, but it's the sport itself is the same as in Europe, but at the same time there are a lot of small differences, which makes it pretty complicated. And the other thing is you need a lot of money here to get it done, because teams spend a lot of money, and that's the challenge here, to find enough funding to be able to compete with the top teams.
Do you ever feel like an underdog compared to some of the teams that have huge sponsors or have been established teams for years and years and years?
No, I am the underdog. So I don't feel like I am, but I am. I basically, I won championships in Europe. I won the FAA championships. I've been to Monaco with the elite of you're the champion, everybody's going after you, and that's another type of deal because now you have to defend everything you know and can. And if you're out first round, everybody said, "Oh, he did a bad job. He was out the first round." Well, now at this moment, because you're the underdog, people really appreciate the fact that you even qualify for a race. So there are a lot of differences there. I don't mind to be the underdog, and I always call it like flying under the radar. Let me fly under the radar until I got my stuff and then ready to go. And then, people will say, "Hey, like last year we won a round of racing. That was huge. Everybody, all the crowd went wild, and we had a lot of press because of that. So that's cool. And hopefully next year we're going to do that more, and we maybe can make a couple of rounds. At the end of the day, we will win a race. So that's how you build your deal. Sure, if I can find the millions those big teams have, people basically expect more from you, and then it will be a different ballgame. But for now, it is what it is. Again, I don't mind.
What was that feeling like when you won the Top Fuel Championship in Europe?
Yeah, that was something. It's basically a dream come true. Which the moment it happened, you didn't really realize you did it because it was always something that championships like that were won by other teams and never by myself or by my team. So the moment stuff like that happens, it's pretty unreal. But at the same time, we worked really hard for it, and I can say we deserved it. But that's another thing in racing. It's not always that you get what you deserve. It's pretty humbling sport. You have to fight hard for it every day, every hour. Like there's a race right now going on in Dallas. I would love to be there, but we don't have the fun, so we are not there. But at the same time, I'm working here to be able to go to the next race, which is Houston next weekend, which you're probably not going to make. But hey, listen, if you keep working at it and you keep going after it, you probably have seen a people saying never quit. Keep going after it. It will happen, and even if it won't happen this season, we will be there next season. Because if you work hard in your life to achieve your goals, it will happen. That's the beauty, especially here in the USA. When you work hard, and it's probably the same in Canada. When you work hard, you are able to achieve things, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Yeah, I was going to bring that up here. I saw your never quit motto on your website and stuff, and I was going to ask you about that, but you perfectly answered that. What was the motivation to still come to America after all that success in Europe? Was it that never quit motto kind of playing in your head, thinking, well, I can go to America and I can win just like I'm winning here? Or was there anything else behind that?
No, the reason behind that is, my wife and I love America. We always went to America for holidays and stuff like that. But if you want to live here, that's not something you just do. But because of my achievements in Europe in drag racing, we were able to obtain a green card. So that gave us the opportunity to move here. So when that happened, the question was, do you want to do it? Because you basically need to start your life all over again. Because, you got nothing here. But I basically won everything there was to win in Europe. And I always need to find a challenge. So I'm always raising the bar. I started racing in a Camaro in just the street class, and I ended up in the Formula 1 of drag racing. That's Top Fuel Dragsters, right? I won everything. So to make the ultimate dream come true of achieving everything there is to achieve, you have to go to the country where basically the sport is coming from. Drag racing is coming from here, from the USA. So if you want to be the best, you need to beat the best. So then you have to go to the US. So when the green card came through, then I think, okay, if I say no and I'm not going to do it, then I'm probably going to regret that the rest of my life. So that was the reason we came here to the US and we are doing what we are doing. And although it's not simple and it's pretty tough and we are still not there, we are making progress, and hopefully next year, and otherwise in 2022, we will be on a level where we can win races, and
Like you just mentioned at the start, I saw on your website that your wife is actually part of your team. What is that like, being able to do what you love with your wife by your side?
Well, yeah, for me, that's really important because what we do, what I do, is taking basically your whole life, every hour of the day, you're working at it. In the weekends, it's just it's basically all you do. So it's really important to do that with your wife in my case, because otherwise I will never see her and we won't have anything to share, and we basically don't have a marriage because we won't see each other. So to do it together, that's really important. And we have a common interest. That's also really important. Um, Family is about working, about thinking, being if it's possible to work on the same kind of things. I think that's the thing to do. Otherwise, at the end of the day, you won't recognize each other anymore, and you basically live your own lives, which some people do, and I don't say it's wrong, but that's not what I want. So to be able to get my wife into racing and get her involved and basically helping me in everything I do is really really important. And not only that, but at the end of the day, I can trust her with anything I want. So basically, she is my assistant. So everything I'm looking at and that needs to be done, I can basically rely on her. If I don't have the time for it, or I need to get it out of my hands to give it to her, and it will get done. So I think it's really strong, not only from a relationship point of view, but also from a team point of view, that you can work together like this.
Yeah, totally makes sense that you kind of need that relationship to really be successful and have that help in your life. Did you have any other people, maybe mentors or just people you looked up to throughout your racing career?
Yes, there were, but most of them are in the past. If you talk about drag racing, Don Garlett is for sure one of the men to look at. There are a couple of tuners I really admire. Lee Beard became a really good friend of us. He achieved a lot in drag racing. It's about people that really made a difference in drag racing and achieve things like, Garlitz. He basically by making a rear engine top fuel director and everything he did for the sport, he's fundamental for the sport. So there are some people that I admire, and I still talk with people that I have a relationship with, and I can ask questions because they are pretty high up there in the chain. So, but what you also find, and that's the funny thing, is that the longer you do it, and the more you achieve, the harder it is to find people that can are able to give you an answer to questions you have regarding certain topics. So, but yeah, it's St. John Force. He's one of the heroes. He was a truck driver, and look where he is right now. It's one of those things that without those people, the sport would never be where it is right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely interesting that his two daughters are racing too.
Oh yeah, and that's something he really wanted, and I think I admire these about that. But at the end of the day, he's the boss. He wants to do it, and he makes it happen. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah. So my final question is, what is a typical race event, race day for you? Do you have anything specific you do? Maybe listen to a certain song or sit by yourself for a little while before you get in the car or anything like that?
No, not really. I'm basically too busy to get everything right and to be sure everything is okay. What I do is I always check certain things on the race car before the car goes out. Before I go in, there's for sure it's got something to do with safety. It's got to do with things that I know can be overlooked, especially because a lot of times we work with a young crew. so they're not really experienced. So I try to keep them out of certain mistakes. I'm overlooking the bigger picture. I'm not the type of guy that really plays a song. Although I really like to listen to some music, but a lot of times it's just not in there because there's no time for it. But I believe it's really important to take care of yourself. So to be comes race day, be as good as possible as a person mentally and have the energy to do it because it takes a lot of energy not only to race a car like this but just to do a race weekend by itself. Yeah, there are a lot of things to that, but again, the thing is this: when you work with a team, you expect the team to work and do their work and do it the best they can. If you are behind the wheel and you need to drive that car, you cannot falter. It cannot be that you make a mistake and that's why the team lost the race. So when they give me that car, I need to be on top of my game, and I need to do my job. So in drag racing, you cannot pull a red light. You cannot you cannot lose a run because somebody else was quicker on the starting line, so you lose an whole shot. And you need to give it your all to make it to the finish line. So those things are really important for me. Now, and it might happen one day. I don't say it will never happen, but in my career, I never lost a race on a whole shot. I never red lighted on race day, and I really won a lot of races. So those things for me are really important because if I give the example to my team that I do my job, I can expect from them they do their job, right?
Yep. No, it totally makes sense. Going off. Go ahead.
Yeah, and we always say, there is no I in team, and teamwork makes the dream work. And those things are really important for me, that you're a team and you perform as a team. Go ahead.
Now, going off what you said, this will definitely be my last question. I don't want to keep you too long. How do you keep that mental focus before race day, during race day, and how do you keep that energy up like you were talking about to constantly go to races, work on your own stuff, do everything you need to do to get to an event?
Because I want to win.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is. And the thing is this, and it doesn't really matter what you do. You can be in soccer, you can be a football player, you can whatever you do in what kind of sport. There is always somebody else or a team that wants to do a better job as you are doing. They want to defeat you. So the only way to get this done is to be better than the other guy, the other girl, the other team. So to do that is to give yourself the best opportunity to do it. So if I want to win, and that's the same here. And when people, this NHRA drag racing, that's the toughest deal ever. And when you don't see me saying this a lot, that I want to win and I'm going to win races because I don't want. I'm not ego driven, and I'm not the type of guy that says, "Oh, this is easy and this is what I'm going to do." But at the same time, this is what I want to do. So that's what's giving me the energy to get it done. I want to do this, and to be honest, I know I can do it. I know I can do it. So it should be a waste of my life, of my energy, of my time, and all the other people that work with me if I don't put everything in it to get it done.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely good motivation. Doing what you want, doing what you love is definitely a way to keep that energy up.
Yeah. Are you racing?
No, like I said in the email, I've never actually raced. I've been to a few races. I haven't been to an NHRA race because in Canada they kind of stopped doing races here. I think there's one in Edmonton, but I've been to little kind of community drag races. And like I said in that email, I'm building a 72 Mustang right now. So hopefully when that's done, I may take it down the strip a few times, see what it can do.
And the thing is this, once you start doing that, and it doesn't matter what kind of number is on the board, but that's what got me, right? You put your Mustang on the track, and you take it from A to B, say it's a quarter mile, and the number on the board is 16 seconds. You think, okay, 16 seconds, it's not really impressive. end of the day, you know, if you want to look at this, it's about where it starts, but it never ends. I'm the type of guy I always want to go quicker because I know it can be done. Now I don't know if it's the same for you, but it might be. And you get your Mustang on the racetrack, and you got it going. You say, okay, that's cool. I want to go quick. There we go. And for me, it never ends.
Yeah, get bit by that bug and it never goes away. No, I'm the same way. Horsepower has always been interesting to me, and watching cars like, or guys like you guys, NHRA drivers, funny cars, whatever, just flying down that track is just crazy to me, and just looks scary on one hand, but on the other hand, it looks like a ton of fun having that horsepower just roaring behind you going down the track.
Well, the thing is, and that's another thing I can give to you, is that looking at a car going down the track and sitting in it, it's a complete different deal. Because it's a complete different experience. So, because if you see a car go and it blows up or whatever it does, or it just goes, you know, if you're in it, it's a different feel, it's a different experience. So, it's for sure, it goes fast and goes quick. But if you talk to a guy like I am, we never go fast enough. We never go quick enough. It must be faster. It must be quicker. And that's the problem. It's never good enough.
Yeah, it's super interesting talking to you. It's been I've loved talking to you, hearing all these stories and the words of wisdom and hearing about your career. It's been super interesting to me. So thank you again for taking the time out of your day to call me. It's been awesome.
No problem, man. And if you need anything else, just send me an email and I'm more than happy to help you.
Thank you. Hopefully one day I'll get out to a race when you're racing and I'll get to see what it's all about.
Well, if that happens, let me know because I will invite you in the pits and you will go through it.
Oh, now I definitely have to make sure it happens.
Absolutely. No, you got something to work for, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to my interview with Lex Joon. What a pleasure that was talking to him, learning all about the sport, hearing some of the crazy stories he had to talk about. Just a blast talking to him. Like always, don't forget to share with your friends, leave a review, go follow Gateway Rides on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you can find it. Thanks again. Have a good day.